Hello everyone. In this video, you'll get introduced to AWS Code Commit. You'll get answer to the why, what and how of AWS Code Commit. This tutorial also contains some practicals to help you get started. Before moving forward, let me introduce myself. I am Simran Kumari, a tech enthusiast, always keen to learn and explore. I have been a part of many edtech firms, including Educative and Scalar. Currently, I'm working as a product engineer at Cryo. Let's discuss in brief things we are going to cover as a part of this tutorial. First, we'll get familiar with AWS Code Commit. Then we'll know why we should use Code Commit. After that, we'll explore some features of Code Commit. Then we'll have some practicals where we'll learn to work with Code Commit on top of AWS Management Console. Last but not the least, we'll compare Code Commit and GitHub and understand the differences between the two. So let's start with first understanding what is AWS Code Commit. AWS Code Commit is a secure, highly scalable, managed source control service that hosts private Git repositories. So secure because the data or code, whichever is stored in AWS Code Commit, is encrypted. Both data at rest and data in transit are encrypted to ensure security. Highly scalable. You can increase the size of your project. Code Commit is capable of auto scaling to store your repository of any size and whenever needed. Private because it allows you to privately store and manage repositories, which can be these repositories can be documents, source code, binary files, images, etc. It sustains the standard functionality of Git. Now let's move to why to use Code Commit. AWS Code Commit is a cloud-based version control system which is provided by the AWS. To start from basics, we have functionality 1, which is team collaborations. So when we work on a project, we usually work in teams. We need to share our files with our team members, and this sharing is taken care of or can be taken care of using the AWS Code Commit, as it serves as cloud-based centralized repository. Now we have another use case, which is a version control. Let's take another case where our project is all good and running. Now we think of adding a new feature to our project. Now on adding this new feature, our entire project fails to work. So now what we want is to revert back to the position where this additional feature was not added to our project. So in order to revert back, we need to maintain versions of our project. So AWS Code Commit helps to maintain this versioning part. Next, we have another use case where it proves to be helpful to DevOps engineers. So DevOps engineer can use Code Commit, and instead of focusing on the maintaining the updates of the projects, they can just focus on the production part, because the management part or the update management part would be taken care of by Code Commit itself. Next, we have the features of Code Commit. Number one is collaboration. Code Commit allows team members to work collaboratively. Options like merge, commit, branch, etc. allows for easy maintenance of your project. Next, we have encryption. The files can be transferred from or to the code commit, and this transfer happens using two secure protocols, HTTPS and SSH, whichever you prefer. Then repositories are automatically encrypted using the AWS Key Management Service. Next, we have access control. You can authorize access to your projects on Code Commit using the AWS IAM service. Using this, you can choose whom to show what and what powers to be given to which of the users. You can monitor your repositories using the AWS CloudWatch service. Then comes high availability and durability. The data which is stored in code commit can be replicated and stored into multiple availability zones. This increases the availability of your data and it prevents data loss, which increases the durability. Now, easy integration and access. So you can access your code or the repositories which you have on Code Commit using either the AWS Management Console or the command line interface or the software development kits, whichever you prefer. So it provides the easy access. Then this Code Commit supports all the Git commands and it works with the existing Git tools. Next, we have notifications. So for every single activity that is happening on your repository, which is stored over the code commit, so you can opt to receive notifications. So these notifications are sent via the AWS SNS service, and since these are sent by the SNS, so you can for each notification you can write a script to trigger some actions as well. So to start with the demo, we'll log into our AWS Management Console and then search for Code Commit. We can see in the services section, we have a service named Code Commit listed here. So we'll click on this. So this Code Commit default page appears. Here we have repositories. If we had any repositories previously created, it would have been listed here, but since we do not have any repository, so it's empty here. We'll click on this create repository button to create a new repository. We can give this repository a name, say reskill repo 1. Description is optional, so we can skip that, or we can add if you want. Then tags. Uh, Tags can be usually when team work, they work in two different environments, like some are for production environment, some are for development environment. So for that we can add tags, or we can also add tag for if we are working on a particular feature. So that way it works, and then we can click on create. So this creates a new repository. Here we can see the success message. So here are some uh, guidelines or some information. Then we can see this is created with this is an empty repository, because by default it obviously creates an empty repository. Now we can add file. We can either create a new file or upload file from our local device to the cloud. So here I'll create file. So I'll add a few line like this is a demo file and created by main. Okay, and then we need to give this file a name like sample.txt. The author name, so the author name just carries who initiated the commit, an author email. Okay, then we can give a commit message, which is optional. If we don't give a commit message, it creates a default message. So now finally we can click on commit changes. The green bar says that the file has been added or has been committed to the main. We can even edit this file using this edit button. Now if we move back to this repositories tab, we will see our repository is created and listed here. This one. So we can work with this like notify, create notification rule, clone the URL, view repository or delete repository. These are the options available. Now we'll create a branch for this repository. So first we select this repository. So on selecting, we can see here we have sub branch, sub options like, and we have here branches. So we'll click on this. Here we can see we have this main branch. We can create a new branch by clicking on this create branch button. We can give a branch name like, let me give the branch name as step 1. And this branch is from the default, which is the main branch. Now we'll click on this create branch option or button. Our branch dev1 has been created, and we can see it is listed in the branches section. Now we'll select this branch. Under this branch, we can see this repository is copied with the same file which we had in the main branch. Let's make some changes in the dev1 branch. So we'll click on this file and then click on edit. We can see here that we are in the dev branch and not in the main. We can change this, but here we'll continue with the dev1 branch, and we're going to click on edit. Now we'll add another line over here which is created by dev1. Okay, then we don't need to provide here file name because we are making changes in pre-existing file. Then we need to provide the author name and the email address. So the commit message is optional, but let's give here committed by dev1. Now we'll click on this commit changes button. So as we can see, this our changes had been committed to this file from the dev1 branch. Now if we move to this repo, like the here we can see this is the dev1 branch. Now if we move to this main branch, we can see no changes are being made here. But if we move back to dev1 branch, the changes are shown here. So this change is present only in the dev1 branch as of now. Now we will try to merge these two branches. So we are inside this repo and we have this pull request option. So we'll click on this. Here we'll click on create pull request. So the destination is main and the source is dev1. So we are going to compare these two branches. So if we compare, so we can see there is a message which says these are mergeable. There are no conflicts between the dev1 and the main branch, and we can merge it. So we can create a merge request by giving the title and description. This description is optional. We can here see the changes, or we can just compare what are the changes we have. And to see the commit history, we can click on this commit option and we see this is committed by dev1 2 minutes ago. So we'll give a title merge 1. Description is optional, so we can just give dev plus main again. So after checking everything is okay, good to go, we can click on this create pull request button. We can see pull request 2 has been created. So after, if we click on this merge button, we can see three different options appear: the fast forward, squash and merge, and three-way merge. So we'll go with the fast forward merge for now, and we have this delete source branch dev1 after merging. So we'll just uncheck this because we don't want the dev1 branch to be deleted. So we'll uncheck this and go with the fast forward merge. Now we'll click on this merge pull request. So we can see dev1 has been merged into main. Now if we go to our code, and move to this sample.txt file, we can see here the branch is main, still the commit by dev1 appears here. And if we move back to dev1 branch, again we have the files existing. That was the demo. Now we have the benefits of using AWS Code Commit. First is store any type of code. AWS Code Commit does not offer and or does not have any restrictions on the type of code or type of code files with you can use in your repositories or you can upload to your repositories. Fully managed. AWS Code Commit maintains your repository, it creates backup, and it auto scales the infrastructure when needed. So all of this is managed by AWS Code Commit itself. You don't need to worry about it. Highly secure. Security is something which is guaranteed by AWS, and AWS Code Commit being a part of the AWS service also ensures high security. Code Commit is integrated with other AWS services like AWS Identity and Access Management and AWS Key Management Services to customize or to authorize access to your repositories, and it encrypts the data in transit and data at rest. So all this provides enough security for the code or the source code stored on top of Code Commit. Ensures collaborative work. AWS Code Commit helps you to collaborate on code with teammates via the merges or merge request, branches, pull request, or commits, etc. You can give proper access to people who can access this piece of code or make changes to it, and under different IAM users and security groups, this process becomes much comfortable and engaging. Faster development cycle. AWS Code Commit keeps your repositories close to your build, staging, and production environments in the AWS cloud. You can transfer incremental changes instead of the entire application. So this allows you to increase the speed and the frequency of your development cycle. Easy scaling. So when you talk about the cloud platforms or any AWS services, it ensures scalability. So your infrastructure gets automatically scaled when the need arises, like when the storage capacity is short uh, and your repositories are of much higher or much greater length, then the storage devices are added. This all these things happens automatically, and you don't need to worry about your infrastructure. Then integrating with third-party tools. The best thing about AWS Code Commit is that it places your code in such locations that it becomes very easy to integrate with third-party tools. You can keep using your preferred development environment plugins, the CI/CD delivery systems, and the graphical clients along with Code Commit. So Code Commit also retains the Git commands and allows you to integrate with existing Git tools. Having discussed the benefits of Code Commit, let's move to comparing Code Commit and GitHub. GitHub is a popular version control system which is used and known to almost every developer. First, let's have a look at the similarities of Code Commit and GitHub. So the first one is Git. GitHub and Code Commit uses Git repositories and they support code reviews. Next is integration with AWS Code Build. Both GitHub and Code Commit can be easily integrated with AWS Code Build. The third one is authentication protocols. Both Git and that is GitHub and AWS Code Commit uses the two protocols, that is SSH and HTTPS, for authentication purposes. This was all about the similarities. Now let's move to the differences between the two. So the first one is secure. AWS Code Commit is more secure than GitHub as it uses the IAM, that is Identity and Access Management, for user level or specific API level security, and the repositories here are encrypted. The next one is the limit. GitHub allows storage of files up to approx 100 MB, whereas there is no restriction in AWS Code Commit on file size and the file type. And the third one is integration. Git is like a home for GitHub, but when it is used with AWS, it's just like a third-party tool. So it is comparatively much easier to integrate Code Commit with other AWS services because it is hosted and managed by AWS itself, making integration with code build and its users much simpler. So both differ in the way of hosting. That's it for the tutorial. Hope you enjoyed learning.